Welcome to r/slash Entitled Parents, where a mother nearly murders her own child just to prove someone wrong. Background: my company sets up a booth at a carnival and we engage several part-timers to assist the carnival. The part-timers are required to go around the carnival ground to distribute flyers, share information, and direct visitors to our booth. The story. On the day of the carnival, after setting up, I met up with the part-timers to prepare them for the day. Out of all the part-timers, only Entitled Mother was late. She mentioned she would be 15 minutes late, but it was closer to an hour. As we couldn't wait, I briefed the others and deployed them for the day. When Entitled Mother arrived, she had her kid in tow, 5 to 6 years old. Due to the job nature, we can't have her lugging her kid while working. Entitled Mother knew this. My husband couldn't handle the kid, so I had to bring her along. I can't have you working with your kid. It's not my problem. If you don't like it, get someone to watch over her. My colleague, who was watching this unfold, offered to watch over her kid. He was only required to help out during the start and end of the carnival, so was entirely free during the event. I thought alright, since he was free. I can watch over her, get her some food, watch some shows, play some games, but you'll need to pay me. Whatever, but I'm not paying you for your time, only for kid. He grins. Sure. I was flabbergasted. My colleague told me not to worry. He had a plan. Once Entitled Mother started working, colleague brought Entitled Mother's kids systematically through every single booth throughout the entire carnival. It was the kid's dream come true, and I believe her best day ever. Whatever she wanted to eat, colleague bought. She saw a lot of shows and won many prizes. Since colleague had a staff pass, he didn't have to pay for the shows, only for the kid. At the end of the carnival, when we were clocking the hours worked, Entitled Mother had the nerve to insist to be paid full even though she was late for almost 1 hour. She said that because of various reasons, mainly due to her kid, she would have been early. She was ranting and I didn't really pay any attention, as I was tired and I don't decide on the pay. But it was about how I will never understand, as I don't have kids, and how she deserves it because she was a mother. My nearby manager winked at me and took over. He said he was very pleased with the day's sales and how we are very supportive of her and we should give kids the best. He told her not to worry about the hours she worked and Entitled Mother would be paid in full. After hearing this, not even a single thanks from Entitled Mother, she declared in a loud voice, "At least someone understands." She had this condescending and victorious look on her face. Thankfully, it didn't last long. The sucker punch for Entitled Mother was that Entitled Mother's kids spent roughly $100. And with Entitled Mother's pay at $15 an hour for 8 hours, that's $120. She made a whopping $20 for the whole day. Colleague made it a point to keep track of the expenses, receipts, tickets, stubs, etc., and took tons of photos. Of course, Entitled Mother threw a fit, but with the amount of evidence and her daughter vouching for all the fun she had, Entitled Mother had no case except to yell, "I'm not paying for this!" grabbed her daughter, and stormed off. We look forward to payday when we issue her a check of $20 after subtracting the amount her daughter spent. Lady, don't try to scam carnival workers. They have a lot of experience dealing with clowns. Our next Reddit post is from Always in Pain. And for this post, it's important to understand that a lilo is an inflatable mattress, kind of like you use in a swimming pool. The parents of a child whose life was saved by the RNLI after she drifted out to sea have sent the rescuers a bill for the 7-pound lilo. The girl had drifted out to sea on the inflatable and a 7,000-pound rescue mission was launched to save her. The rescue helicopter was even roped in to get the girl back to safety off the coast of Cornwall. But the heroic rescuers were stunned to be sent an invoice by the girl's mom and dad, Bristol Live reports. Mike Carter, president of the RNLI branch, said a rescue helicopter had to be used to save the youngster when she got into a precarious situation. A crew member then jumped into the water to save the girl, but left the inflatable lilo in the water off Porthleven. Mike said, "A family visiting Porthleven purchased a lilo from a local shop and went to the beach. There was an offshore wind, and the parents immediately experienced their child waving goodbye as the lilo went further and further out. The Coast Guard scrambled the SAR helicopter, which was soon on scene. The diver jumped from the helicopter and saved the child. He instantly put a knife through the lilo to prevent any further drifting, and they were both winched to safety. After receiving the invoice, Mike said the rescuer replied saying they would happily pay if the family paid for the cost of launching the helicopter. He said, 2 weeks later, the commanding officer of 771 received a request to pay an invoice for £7, the cost of the lilo. The CEO wrote, replying, "I will be happy to pay your invoice on receipt of payment for the helicopter rescue for £7,000. No response was received. I love the image of the little girl waving goodbye to her parents on the lilo as she slowly drifts away. I don't think this kid got caught in the tide. I think this was her escape plan, trying to get away from her entitled parents. Our next Reddit post is from Dabbles-In-Irony. This happened a week ago, and I've just gotten over the shock and finished giving my company statements. I work part-time in a chocolate shop, and we give out samples to customers. On this particular day, the sample contained a hazelnut praline. Here in the UK, there's been a massive rise in allergen awareness, so we're all very well trained in advising customers. I'm working on my own in the store on a very quiet day. The entitled mother and annoying son, about 4 years old, walk into my store. "Hi, can I offer you chocolate? It's a praline, so it contains hazelnuts and milk." The entitled mother takes the chocolate. "I'll have one, but my son is allergic to nuts. Is there anything he can try?" Now, even though it's not company policy, my store keeps an open box of plain dark chocolate to give to people with allergies because we like to be nice. I do have to warn you that everything may contain traces of nuts, but I do have some chocolates you could try with no nuts in the recipe if you agree. She agrees and I get the chocolate out. So far, so good. She actually comes across as quite nice. He greedily grabs 2 chocolates and she picks one up as well. I internally roll my eyes, but keep a smile on my face. He immediately spits it out and she starts to complain. "What is this? This is boring and flavorless and disgusting." It's just our dark chocolate. It's the safest for people with allergies to eat. "Well, I got a fancy chocolate and my son, who loves chocolate, got something with no flavor. It's like you're punishing him for having allergies. Give him something nicer to try or I won't buy anything from this company ever again. I spend a lot of money in this company and you don't want to upset me." He's screaming and jumping around over at our wall of chocolates, and because he's young and can't read, he picks up a bar that contains nuts. "Want this, want this, want this." "Let him try this." "Miss, I'm not allowed to open packets to let people try a chocolate, and also..." She cuts me off as I go to explain about the nuts. "If you don't open it, then I will." She rips the packet out of the boy's hands. He's been screaming the whole time, and this just makes it worse. I panic. "Miss, it has nuts in it." "How dare you shout at me? You're just saying that so I don't open it." She opens the packet. You can literally smell the praline as she does, but she breaks off a large chunk of chocolate and shoves it into the boy's mouth as he screams and cries. The moment he tastes it, he stops screaming and starts happily chomping the chocolate, and she instantly appears to calm down. Her voice changes back to how she was when she came in, if a little more patronizing. "See, that wasn't so hard. I'll buy this because he likes it, even though you lied about it having nuts." I've never seen anaphylactic shock before, and I thought it always happened instantly, so when he didn't swell up straight away, I assumed he had been lying to get a different chocolate. Entitled mom clips annoying son into his buggy, and then comes to the till to pay and takes a moment rummaging in her bag to find her purse. I realize the store has gone very quiet, and immediately look at the buggy thinking he must have fallen asleep. The boy's face is very red and beginning to swell a little. He looks super disoriented and can't make proper sounds as his throat swells. I realize this is the beginning of an allergic reaction. Entitled mother turns and screams. Thankfully, I work in a shopping mall, so I hit our button that alerts emergency services to the store. In my panic, I just start yelling, "Do you have an EpiPen?" Entitled mother is clearly in shock and just starts making this high-pitched whimpering noise and nods while pointing under the buggy. I stick my head out of the store door and yell for the responders. I'm pretty much in tears at this point. Thankfully, the mall responders arrive and take over. They're first aid trained and get the EpiPen. They also call 999. They administer the medicine and have annoying son laying flat until an ambulance can arrive. Entitled mother is clutching my arm the whole time. I nearly feel sorry for this woman until I remember that this is her fault. The ambulance arrives and takes annoying son and entitled mother away. I called my manager and she let me close the store until coworker arrives, and I start giving statements to everyone. My company, the mall, the police, who has turned up with the ambulance. I got the rest of the day off and the next day off. Thankfully, annoying son recovered, so there is a happy ending. You know, I'm gonna be honest, I am completely shocked that entitled mother didn't blame OP for poisoning her kid and then turn around and try to sue the store. I think reading all of these entitled parent stories has given me a really dark and twisted view of humanity. Our next Reddit post is from the Fire Eagle. I'm at a city park with my kids. We've been to this park a bunch. There is this one spot where there's a rocky hill, all tree covered. Nice and shady on a hot day. There's a playground and a pavilion on the top of the hill. We get up there and I immediately notice loud noises and I'm having to step over cables and extension cords. Someone rented the pavilion and set up not one, but 3 bounce houses around it. Effing great. So I have to give the disappointing news to my kids that even though they're surrounded by bounce houses, they can't play in them since this is a private party. But they're free to go hit the playground. Everyone is cool. I sit on a bench as my kids go to town on a fake pirate ship when I hear, "Hey!" That's when entitled dad, doing his best to imitate the situation from the Jersey Shore, walks up to me and informs me that the playground is closed for a private party. I look at him and inform him that the public park does not close for private parties, and it sounds like he rented the pavilion nearby, which is fine. But that doesn't give him exclusive use of the neighboring playground. He storms off and returns with a rental agreement and shoves it in my face, telling me to get my effing kids and leave. Right, so rental agreement is very clearly for the pavilion. All for the grand sum of $35 for 4 hours. How could any sensible adult think that $35 granted you exclusive use of a public playground? Moreover, why is it so important for you to have exclusive use of a public playground? I, again, point out to him that he rented the pavilion, not the park. And my kids won't go on his bounce houses and we won't go into his pavilion, but the playground is fair game for everyone. He begins hurling threats and I'm weighing just taking my kids and leaving to avoid this butthole. Then I decide I need to take a stand on principle. So I tell him to F off and proceed to use my phone to find the phone number for the park office. Our county staffs our park. During the summer months, they employ park rangers who have peace officer authority. I call the park ranger and tell them that there is trouble up at the shady playground and they need to come right away. Sure enough, as I'm getting off the phone, Dolph returns with 2 of his meathead friends to tell me that they're ejecting me from the park. No, you're not. And if you touch me, I'm calling the cops and pressing charges. No anger, no rage. With this promise of action, however, one of them kind of widens his eyes and steps back, saying to his friend, "Just leave them alone, man." This guy, for some reason, does not want the police coming, and it's very obvious. The ringleader won't back down, however, and tries his best to get in my face, scream, and yell. He grabs my arm. I remove his hand. All of this just as I see the ranger pull up, yell for everyone to step back from one another and come over. This smug effer shoves the rental contract into the chest of the ranger, telling him that I'm trespassing, and he rented this space for the day for his kid's party. Now, normally, I don't like posturing by law enforcement, but here it was pretty amusing. The ranger says, "Touch me again and I'm arresting you." He reads the contract. "This is for renting the pavilion. You have use of the pavilion, but the playground is open for public use." He hands it back. "Also, your permit doesn't allow you to set up bounce houses. Where did you plug these in?" The ranger follows the extension cords and sees that they ran them to the nearby public bathrooms. There was an outdoor outlet. It was locked. This dude cut the lock off so he could plug in his stuff. The ranger comes back with a broken lock. "Did you cut this lock?" It was like that when I found it. Really? Because it was intact this morning. So some random person cut this lock and you just happened upon it within the last 2 hours. I guess. Long story short, he let them stay and let them keep the bounce castles because he didn't want to ruin a kid's party. He wrote the guy a citation for the broken lock and the unauthorized power use, and banned him from the park for the remainder of the season after the party. Amazingly, this entire event was lost on my children, who barely noticed anything was going on, likely because of the compressor noise. That was r/Entitled Parents, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.